Hope you had a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I apologize for not posting any videos recently. There was Christmas, however, and then I got sick, actually on Christmas, so I've been fighting the flu for about a week, and I'm starting to get better. I actually sound normal today. So I thought, all right, now's time to do a video, and I thought, what better than something that I was requested to review, the new Hobbit movie. I went and saw the Hobbit movie on opening weekend. I wanted to do the video right then, but of course, as you know, Christmas, and then I got sick. So, all fun and games. And I actually don't have notes, so it's going to be off the cuff, but still should be good. First things first, I will say the Hobbit Battle of Five Armies is not as bad as some say, and it's not as good as some say. It basically is right around where one would expect the Hobbit movies to be, where they've been so far. It's been a nice, pleasant, enjoyable adventure. It's been great to go back to Middle-earth, but it's not The Lord of the Rings. Now, it isn't a constant battle all the way through. I heard that from quite a few people that's like, oh, it's just a battle, fighting the whole time. It is once the battle starts, but I kind of got the impression from these people that it was like just fighting, 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 fighting. There actually is, from the beginning, in which the death of Smaug occurs to the actual battle of the Five Armies, there is probably about a 40 to 50 minute lull, so to speak, where they're kind of establishing the build-up to the Battle of the Five Armies. After that, yeah, it is just battle after battle after battle after battle. It's still kind of fun and exciting, but it does feel a little long, to be perfectly honest. And one valid criticism that I heard from others that is totally true for this is that this movie goes to show that this should have not been a trilogy. It should have just been two movies. And so in that case, it was a bit upsetting for me because I felt a little cheated because there were some powerful moments there. And it was kind of like, oh, I'm getting the feelings. It's almost like Lord of the Rings, but it's not. And it just kind of gave you the feeling that had Peter Jackson and his staff approached this same project with the same mindset that they had with the Lord of the Rings of telling a story as opposed to falling into the trap of, oh, well, we have to make this a trilogy. We can make more money off of this. We can make it bigger and grander and epic, you know. We can make it better than the original. It could have been as good as the Lord of the Rings. Best thing is just to be grateful that we got it at all for those of us who wanted to return to Middle-earth, although I know that quite a few people are upset with what Peter Jackson did with the Hobbit movies, which I completely understand because it upsets me too, but I can go into a movie theater and be like, you know what, this is not going to be anything like the book. I'm just going to watch it on its own merits, and I found the whole Hobbit trilogy to be quite enjoyable. It's not great, it's not earth-shattering, but it is enjoyable. And the movie does do some things very well. The main thing would be, in my book, how they kind of show how Thorin changes his mind. How he goes from being obsessed over this treasure, having the dragon fever, and being obsessed over the Arkenstone, and realizing that he's turning into exactly like his grandfather. And that was done very, very well. And that was something that I always wondered about when I was a kid, was why Thorin acted this way. And if there is one thing I could fault the book for, is not stating clearly enough, at least for me, why Thorin was acting this way. Which, that's something that comes across very strongly in the movie. A lot of it felt a bit too much like trying to tie it into Lord of the Rings with the battle with Sauron. Now, I don't know if some of the works that Christopher Tolkien did, if he kind of fleshed out the stories and Gandalf's battle with the Necromancer, but it's not addressed in the book, and I haven't read anything about it, so I have to assume, and I could be very wrong here, but I have to assume that the Necromancer battle, as it was portrayed in the movie, was not like that, or perhaps didn't even happen like that. Now, that doesn't mean to say that the necromancer wasn't an allusion to Sauron and that J.R.R. Tolkien didn't mean for that to happen, that was in fact his plan, is an homage to Sauron, or something that it became that. It just felt a little bit too, oh, gotta tie this into Lord of the Rings. So now we have this, we have this whole complete circle. You have the Hobbit ones, and then you can watch the Lord of the Rings, which is the ones that we really want you to watch because they're really excellent, and we're trying to make more money off of them. Not saying that that's what they were going for, although I'm sure there were some producers and executives somewhere that were like, yes, we can make more money off Lord of the Rings. Which unfortunately is what it felt like with the Hobbit movies, was about money and not story. Another thing, Lee Pace's character, he's a big-time jerk. Woo! He did a great job acting. You just can't not stand that Elf Lord. There is people who die, and if you read the book, you already know, but for those of you who have not read The Hobbit, I will not spoil it for you. But yeah, there's some deaths, and, well, nothing with Tariel happens too much, so there's nothing outrageous that people would be upset about, but I think those who are upset about Tariel are the people who've read the book, and if you read the book, you know certain things. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, well, there's only so much they could do because this is supposed to happen. Honestly, if you think about it, in this movie, there's actually less adding stuff in. There's still a few things where Legolas, of course, Legolas being in there, wasn't even in the book, but Legolas goes on this side mission, which is something that doesn't even happen in the book. And you can say a lot of the fighting stuff that's added in because the book doesn't go into that great detail, but of course you could just say, well, that's what fits into the book, the brief description that Tolkien gave about the battle. And movies being a different creature from books, battle scenes and action scenes, us being short attention span nowadays, that's what drives people to the theater. So we knew this was coming in one shape or another. This was the climactic battle. And while it is no Pelennor Fields or Helm's Deep or the Black Gate, it's still quite tense and very interesting to watch. And the fight between Azog and Thorin Oakenshield is epic and done very well. Basically, case in point is, if you like the first two movies, you will like this one. There's nothing super amazing about it. There's nothing really so egregious in it like the second one. And it does have a few heartfelt moments that harken back to Lord of the Rings, that you kind of get that Lord of the Rings feel. And it just really makes you want to watch The Lord of the Rings. I mean, that's the biggest thing I came away with, is like, it just reminded you of how awesome Lord of the Rings was. So now I'm going to have to go watch those movies and, of course, give you my reviews of them. Hopefully, I helped some of you if you haven't seen the movie yet. Like I said, if you like the first two, you'll enjoy this one. There's nothing absolutely spectacular about it, but it's a good, solid movie. Hope the off the cuff wasn't too terrible, but as always, you guys let me know. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas and New Year. And like, subscribe, share, and smile. This is the Outcast Rider, signing off.